Drivers, start your engines.
You are now listening to the fastest show on IE Sports Radio. My name is Darryl Kinsey Jr. I'm welcoming you to another lap of the Extra Mile for today, March 19th, 2020. And that car engine you heard at the beginning of this is probably the most engines we have heard in a week now, as the motorsports world continues to be at a standstill from the effects of COVID-19. I think we all are feeling it right about now. And before I continue, I want to welcome in my co-host for this evening, for this very special edition of the Extra Mile, Miss Caitlin Seen. Caitlin, welcome in. I hope you're doing well.
Good evening, Darryl. We are hanging in there. How are you doing?
I am doing well. This is the first, this is my official spring break, so I am doing well, but it did get extended to another week.
Today is the spring equinox, I believe, is it not? So that just fit in kind of well.
Yeah, it is actually the first day of spring. I actually got outside for a little bit to take a little walk, because can't really just stay inside right now and just listen to all the news on what is going on with COVID-19, because it really just bums you all the way out. Excuse me. But things will get better eventually. I know the numbers keep climbing, but a lot of that is due to, the numbers that people are now being tested, so are actually starting to get a accurate number of how many people have the illness. And the hope is that if this follows the China and South Korea track, that we will be back to racing sometime in May or June. We will cross our fingers on that. But right now it has caused a myriad of cancellations and postponements. We've seen, we've seen Formula One.
It's a good thing we're separate here, Darryl. You coughing has me side-eyeing you through the phone.
Okay, just for the record, and it's a funny thing that happens. I have seasonal allergies.
Sure.
That's
what they all are saying.
Yeah, but I actually have seasonal allergies, and unfortunately, one of the symptoms of my allergies is a dry cough. Guess what is a symptom of coronavirus? A dry cough.
I feel like we need that Monsters Incorporated. I need to call in. We have a 2319.
Yeah. Well, we're supposed to be going back to the store tomorrow morning, and I have got to get some Claritin, because I cannot continue with this cough. People are going to start looking at me like I have the Rona, and I don't need that right now. I'm not sick. I'm just allergenic. There is a difference. How
do you know you're not sick, though? You could be.
Well, I don't know. I've had this cough about every day for the same, I don't know. How old am I now? So, really about the last 10 years I've been doing the cough thing, so it's really not that bad. I mean, so it's
if
really,
you don't laugh, we cry, Darryl. If we don't laugh, we cry.
Yep. Want to welcome Marcus, Tehran, and the hardest working man in IE Sports Radio, Mr. Larry B., in this evening, as they are listening to this special COVID-19 delayed episode of the Extra Mile. I want to hit a couple of points to just catch everyone up to where we are when it comes to the cancellations and postponements. NASCAR has decided that they have they have postponed everything up until the Blue Emu Maximum Pain Relief 500. That is the night race at Martinsville Speedway on Saturday, May 9th. That race will be at 8 p.m. if it goes off on FS1. That includes cancellations of, I have to specify cancellation or postponement, and you'll see in a minute. So excuse me if I keep having to go back and fix myself. So this includes races called off for now at Texas Motor Speedway, the Food City 500 at the Bristol Motor Speedway, Richmond Raceway, and the Geico 500 at Talladega, as well as races in Dover. The IndyCar season has canceled the first 4 races of their season, including races at COTA and the Long Beach Grand Prix. Currently, the month of May races are still in effect. However, there is starting to become growing discontent in the IndyCar world that we will not run the Indianapolis 500 on its scheduled date, which is the last Sunday in May, just due to everything that it's going to take to get these teams back up and running and to Indianapolis. Because right now, cars are not being worked on. You're really not allowed to go anywhere that's not a grocery store or a pharmacy at this point. Formula One continues, however, to be the hardest hit, Caitlin, of all 3 series, as they have lost now about the first 7 to 8 races of their schedule. They have pushed back everything before the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku in June 5th through the 7th. The Monaco Grand Prix will not happen. That race has been canceled in its entirety. And it has gotten to the point that the new rules that are supposed to come out in 2021 for Formula One are now being pushed back to 2022. So, Caitlin, we'll start with Formula One. They seem to be the hardest hit because they're a purely global championship. It's starting to get to the point with them where you almost have to wonder, are they going to have a season the way it's going?
I mean, at this point, I almost feel like it's a challenge, but I feel like it's going to be a challenge with anything along those lines, just because of the way everything is spreading with COVID-19 and the way that it's going. And I mean, at some point you do have to take into consideration, that whole better safe than sorry thing. So I feel like at this point, because everything has been canceled and where we are on the global terms of how this is affecting us, I think until there's a very sure case that either one, we've figured out a cure for this, which they haven't yet, or something similar. And then also, things are going to have to go all the way back to normal, I think, before we can even consider bringing in something like this into effect. Yeah. You're just putting too many people. I feel like the last thing that's going to be allowed anywhere is going to be high volume population things, like events like these. So I think they very much are going to be the last thing that's added back into society, as much as that sucks to say, because I know a lot of people are already dying without sports as it is, but I just think it's going to be one of those better safe than sorry kind of things. So if Formula One has a season, and I think that here, it's one of those things, I feel like if they don't have a season at all, it'll be because Formula One decides to cancel the season. Yeah. Not that I don't think we're going to have this issue globally to this extent. I would hope to think throughout the year. I hope by the end of, November, we're going to be well out of this, and you know what I mean? But,
I think COVID will still be a problem, but it won't be to this level. We won't be sitting here, with 100,000 cases, or I hope not, or we have much bigger problems on our hands at that point. But
I feel like it would be a Formula One decision, though, if they were because here's the thing is that we're talking about postponing a lot of these races. The same with NASCAR. Are we going to be feasibly? I think the challenge in all of this is it's not like you could really have multiple races a week unless you're making some kind of exceptions to these rules. Mm-hmm. Because you're at a track for 3-ish days. You have to have that car set up, and then, you have to go back, set up for the next race. There was processes in between all of these things. So it's a little more of a challenge to be we're going to race Sunday, we're going to race Wednesday, we're going to race Sunday, we're going to race Wednesday. And I really feel like and for Formula One, you're jumping halfway across the world in between these. I just don't know how this is going to feasibly work at this point. Depending on when we can go back back. So if we can't go back to racing until June, we're going to be either heavily stacked and they're going to have to be flying around some things because, too, you have to make sure that the tracks are all going to be good to go and those areas are good to go. There's a lot of cards that need to be drawn in a very specific manner in order for these seasons to be able to play out correctly. And I feel like with Formula One, I could almost just see them being quicker to draw and be like, you know what, we're going to hold out on this season. We're just going to wait till next year.
Yeah, and Couch just mentioned that they are testing out right now a malaria drug that in early days, it looks like it is effective. So they're going to be testing that. And what that sounds like is that once these cases come down, if that goes well enough, we will have an intermediary to where we can at least start treating people until, we need a vaccine, until the actual vaccine is ready in 12 to 18 months. But right now, we need a treatment, because once we get a treatment, it'll be a lot easier and we'll be able to start opening things up a little bit more. But we aren't going to go from 10 people can't be together to having 30,000 seat stadiums full again. It's going to be an intermediary process, and I think for the first couple of weeks when we get back racing, there isn't going to be anyone in the stands, and that is going to be something that we're going to have to get used to.
Especially in the global part of Formula One, I feel like that's even because they are, let's just be honest, they are taking this much more seriously than Americans are, especially right now. Mm-hmm. And we've seen what's happened in Italy. We've seen what's happened in China. We've seen what's happening in Spain. And a lot of other countries went into very quickly, like they are getting into lockdown mode. Germany, the Netherlands, France, Morocco, they're all, there's one more that I'm missing off the top of my head, but they have all gone into no restaurants, no bars, no clubs, no theaters. They shut down all public spaces very quickly trying to get ahead of this. Yeah. And they're all taking it much more seriously than Americans. And I know Americans take up the majority of our listeners. And so there's probably going to be some combativeness there. Fine, bring it. I don't care. I can argue all day. We know me. But on the global side of it for Formula One, they are taking this much more seriously. And so I think from their side of things, when racing does become a thing, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's going to take time. But I do think it'll be the last thing added back in, just because it's not so localized, because European soccer / football, I think will be like one of those things trickled in a little easier. Cricket would be trickled in a little easier. Rugby would be trickled in a little easier. But yeah, I think with racing, for how it works in this global jumping, I just think that, either it's going to have to be very much more dissipated by the time the racing starts, mm-hmm. or we are going to see very low attendance for a while.
I'm just going to break in for a minute. We're about 2 minutes away from our guest of the evening supposed to call in. 19-year NASCAR veteran driver and owner Mike Harmon is going to join us here in about a minute. We're going to talk to him. Actually, this is him right here, I believe. So we're going to get him right in, and we're going to get on with our special guest of the evening. Hello, Mike. Is this you? Give it a second. I believe this is Mike Harmon on the call. Mike, you there?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Extra Mile, the owner of Mike Harmon Racing, a 19-year veteran of the NASCAR Xfinity and Truck Series, Mike Harmon. Mike, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We know that the COVID-19 situation is affecting motorsports. You guys are at Atlanta this weekend. What was NASCAR's original plan for the weekend, and what suddenly made them finally decide to just call it off completely?
Well, they tried their best to run the race, and they even revamped the schedule where trucks were going to run Friday night Cup, and Xfinity was going to run Saturday afternoon, but it got to a situation. This is larger than NASCAR, and it came down from. It wasn't NASCAR's decision; it was CDC that had the final say, and all sporting events were postponed, canceled for the weekend, and we couldn't race, and nobody has to play ball or whatever they do,
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way I see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it felt
and the CDC is located in Atlanta, so they can really threaten you guys and show up at the track and just
that's right. That's right. That's right. So I'm pretty sure that's what went down. So.
Yeah, and the way they've been taking it seriously, as everyone has, I don't think they would be able to get off the race anyway. But it felt like they were going to put you guys out there really with no practice and just go straight with qualifying. How would that have affected the cars getting set up? Because usually the teams get time to work on the race setup and the qualifying setup. But from what it looks like, what the plan was, you were going to have to just throw a race setup in there, hope it runs for 2 laps, and then try to work on it for the race. So what type of curveball would that have been for the teams?
Well, it would have affected the rookie drivers a whole lot more than the veteran drivers and the teams that's been around a while. Everybody's got notes to go off of, and we've actually done that before at some tracks due to weather conditions. I mean, everybody's uneasy about it, and most of the drivers are a little more patient to figure out what they got in their car, during the race, and adjust on it from there. And it's a pretty big deal, especially if you don't have many laps in Atlanta. But it's better not racing. You get to they have a competition costing early enough to where we could adjust it on the cars and got them as good as possible. But it was an effort. They were trying. So.
And you have to applaud NASCAR, at least trying to get the weekend in. But how does this affect a smaller, really the teams in Xfinity, but especially a smaller team like yours? Because this is really throwing a huge wrench in the plans for everyone when it comes to sponsors and people not getting paid in the shop. So how is this affecting the teams right now?
Well, it's big time. I mean, we off 3 months during the winter, and you're preparing for the season, and you kind of set up for that. You're expecting it. This was unexpected, but fortunately for us, MHR, we had a pretty decent start of the year. Had a really good Daytona with Joe and myself finishing in the top 16, which helped out. And we're in better shape than usual, and I think we can weather the storm. We're going to try to put together another car while we're off here and not going to the racetrack. I got a couple guys laid off, but there's some of us still working in the shop to do that and do some catching up, after the Western swing. But, the smaller the team might be a little better off because they don't have such a big outgo every month. But, it just depends on how your year started, what kind of sponsorship you got. It's hard to go from being wide open to just being idling alone, and not going to the track. I'm really lost, but, and on the other hand, I know there's a lot bigger things to be concerned about. We just need to do what they asked us to do so we can get this thing put to bed and it don't carry on for months longer. And we don't want to see people losing their houses and their cars and dying. And matter of fact, there's bigger things in racing, although it's our life. But it takes all the others for us to be able to do this as well.
I think that's the important part to remember, is that there are serious implications here. So everyone really needs to be following the CDC recommendations, and just if everyone follows it, the quicker we follow it, the quicker we can get through this and the quicker we can get back to normal. So hopefully everyone is taking heed of that and following the regulations. But you spoke about the finish at Daytona, 15th and 16th for the team. How big of a financial boost is that to go into Daytona, one of the biggest races of the season, and come out with a good finish? I know it's got to help monetarily.
Well, yeah, it was big. I mean, it helped a whole lot, and it carried you for a while, and it has, and it's let us improve the team, and that's where our goal is, just keep getting better every week. And I went there and come back with 0, and this time it wasn't 0. It was several zeros. So it was really, it was a big shot in the arm, and emotionally and mentally too, just to know. And it's always, as a racer, you always want to do better. And Joe and I had a plan. We stuck to it all day, and we just didn't plan on caution coming out in the last couple of laps. So we was going to really go then, but, we didn't get the opportunity. We came out there, though, good finish, 2 complete race cars, had fun, guys enjoyed it, sponsors. It was big, had the Trump car there. It got a lot of attention, a lot more attention than I really thought it would get, and it was it was an amazing weekend. It was really good.
You mentioned the Trump car. Did it help having that car? You said it got a lot of attention. Did it really help with the attention, the fact that the president had announced that he was going to come on Sunday and get the race, to get the preview of his car out on the track, and then Sunday we get all the pomp and circumstance with the beast on the car, and he leads the Secret Service. The Secret Service leads the field around and things of that nature they did on Sunday?
It was huge. I mean, it was a Trump weekend, that's for sure. I mean, so many pictures taken with the car. Everybody's going to get a picture with it. People trying to buy the crew shirts off the crew guys. It was crazy. But it was good. I mean, it was a lot, like I said, a lot larger than I expected. But it was fun to be the center of attention for a little while.
You get any decent offers for those crew shirts on Saturday?
What's that now?
I said, did you get any decent offers for the crew shirts on Saturday?
A couple of guys got off as much as $500 for it.
Wow.
and $250 was the common number,
Well, if you ever needed tires in a hurry, at least you had a backup plan, right?
Exactly.
If you see the crew guys pushing the car without a shirt on, well, we had to get tired.
Shirt, take your pick.
That's right. That's right.
It's a good backup plan to have.
That's true. A little insurance there.
Yeah, and
it was fun.
Yeah, and it would have went for a good cause. Watching your team over the last 2 years really grow and shape over the last couple of years. We know you've been in the car for quite a while, and now you've got Bailey Curry and Kyle Weatherman join the team for a couple of races. What have you thought of their first couple of runs out in the cars?
Well, Kyle and Bailey both, they're really good racers, and they're dedicated. They want it as bad as we want it. They work hard. They'll do whatever you ask. They fit the program. They know we got to finish the race to be able to go next week. Take care of the equipment and still get the most out of it. And for 2 younger guys, they a whole lot more patient than I was when I was young. I can tell you that. So they do a really good job, and they want it. That's what's big to me. I'm here to race. I mean, I know we got to have a show because we got to sell it, but I'm here to race if there's nobody watching or whatever. I just like the competition and the speed and the race. That's why, and the cars. That's what got me involved. It wasn't the show part of it.
Well, you said they had a lot more patience than you. How patient was young Mike Harmon out on the racetrack?
Hey, he wasn't too patient. He wasn't too patient, but he learned to be. So I was raced on a quarter-mile racetrack, grew up on a quarter-mile in heart of Dixon, Alabama, and for whole opens, you got to take it. So graduated to BIR, Birmingham, and Red Farmer was one of the local heroes there, and we was running pretty good. And one night after coming from the pay, when the Red put his arm around me, he said, "Son, if you learn to keep the fenders on that car, you might win some races one of these days." So I thought about that all the way home, what he was trying to tell me, and caught on to it, and took off from there. And actually, Red later, I got to where I could outrun him. That was a big goal, And then later on, he actually worked for me. We become really good friends, and taught me a lot more later on. So, But you got to be patient. You got to be aggressive.
The one thing I will say is that I'm really surprised that Red Farmer is still at his age. He was one of the people in the original NASCAR season way back when. He is still today climbing into race cars and still being competitive. And he's really showing that the old veterans, they can still get it done. They still got something in the tank, and they got a lot of experience that a lot of these young guys really don't have.
Experience beats use anytime, and quick reflexes. Been there, done that a lot, that means a lot. If I was having surgery, I wouldn't want no rookie doing it. I'd want an experienced guy.
Exactly.
Right.
So, but
and your instincts are going to know how to react to things too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You don't panic. You don't get excited. You've been there, done that, seen it before. Let's do it again. But as far as he's 86 or 87, and still doing that dirt racing. My hat's off to him. Admire him. He's a hero. He's a tough old man. So.
You think we'll ever get Mike Harmon back in a dirt car?
I don't know. I drive anything that got wheels. And so I wouldn't say no, but dirt's not my forte. I really enjoyed running the ARCA car on the mild dirt. Mm-hmm. The other, I never felt like I was really comfortable on, but I want to do some modified and late model racing before I quit for good, if I ever do, which I don't have no plan to. So, but I don't really. When I was doing the late model racing and all that, I didn't really appreciate the fun I was having because I was working so hard to get here, to get into NASCAR. But I can't look at picture albums and stuff. I can't hardly look at it because I miss it so much. Yeah. But, I wanted to always run the big tracks and all that. And it's hard to make a living on, short track racing. And so I had to make that move. My dad told me, you conquer where you're at, you need to go to the next level. So, So that's what I did.
So Mike,
and don't regret it.
Yeah. And when that being said, we've seen a lot of the guys in Cup actually go back and run dirt race. And you mentioned that you don't really appreciate it when you're trying to work your way up the ladder. Do you think a lot of those guys are going back down to dirt track racing just to remember, how much fun it was, how much fun it is to just be in the car racing? Because we know at the top level that there's a lot more pressure for these guys to perform than you go down the dirt track and everybody's smiling, happy, seeing that you want to get an autograph from you.
Yeah, it just goes back to your roots, and you can go have fun, like you said. You don't have to worry about losing your job. Just go race, have fun, and not about the money. It's just about the competition and the love of racing. Mm-hmm. And that's fun to do. If you miss the opportunity today, you'll never make it up.
Right.
Is there anything you haven't checked off your list that you want to? Like there's something that Mike Harmon's like, I haven't done this race or I haven't been to this track yet. Is there anything yet that you're still working towards?
Well, I've got most of it done, but I drove a tour modified car one time at Flemington, and I had a lot of fun doing that. And I think there's 45 cars there. We had 30 minutes of practice, and we qualified 6 out of 45. And then we were too loose in the race. We finished 16th, but I want to do that again for sure. At Caraway or somewhere around Hickory or somewhere around here. I just like driving an open wheel car, and that's one thing I want to do. And I ran a snowball derby for years. I almost won it. Won the Saturday race. I wouldn't mind going back down there with an opportunity to win again. Mm-hmm. So, but you just can't show up there. You got to do some other races to get geared up for it. But the opportunity. And I was thinking that maybe while I was available, I might get to run some late model races. The guy asked me to, actually, but now they're not doing that either. So shoot, not gonna be able to do it.
So
Anyway.
At least not this year, maybe. There's always next year, though.
Right. That's right.
So, Mike, I went the magic of being able to do this in the 21st century and being able to do this online is we got quick access to information. And while you were talking, I went up and looked at Flemington Speedway and what that track looked like. How did y'all fit 45 cars on a track this small?
I know, and it was as you can see, it's kind of a square track, but you have to run it in like a circle. Mm-hmm. So it was busy. It was 200 laps busy. I can tell you that.
At least you weren't bored.
No, I wasn't bored. I wasn't bored at all. I was going by a lap car, and he kind of moved up a little too much, and the left front tire rolled up on his Nerf bar. And I thought, oh man, I was looking straight at the flag stand. And I just
that's not good at all.
Fell back down on the ground. And so we kept on going. It was fun. It got my attention for
Who
sure.
needs caffeine when you have that, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Get when one wheel's on a Nerf bar. Yeah, the right front's very not on the ground very much in. So, but anyway, we got out of it.
Yeah, I don't think there's a good situation where I want to be looking at the flag stand unless I'm looking at the checkered flag.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, but how do you deal with traffic on a track with that many cars? It just seems like trying to find a hole is like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Well, the faster cars are up, I bet, on the top side of the track, and the lappers were on the inside. So you just have to concentrate on the few cars that you're around, and you just don't ever get a break. You just stay after it, Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was an interesting race.
So Mike, we know you're one of the obviously one of the smaller teams in the Xfinity series. So we know with the bigger teams, there's a lot more people to do things. But for the smaller teams, what is the workload during the week to get a car turned around and ready for the next event? Because I know a lot of people wear multiple hats down there.
Yeah, it's a lot to do. I mean, once you come back, you actually, depending on when you get back, we usually unload Sunday afternoon, clean the cars up, and start freshening them up, going through the wheel bearings, and you got to change the gear, change the oil, sometimes change the motor, just sometimes change the brakes, just go over it, completely go over it, and you got to be loaded up Wednesday night or Thursday night for sure, depending on where the track's at. Mm-hmm. And you kind of get used to it, I say, in a way. Just know what to expect, what you got to do. I mean, you don't count hours or anything like that. You just can't do it. Mm-hmm. You can't really look at it as work. They say if you do what you love, you don't work a day in your life, and I guess that keeps us going, Yeah. Because it takes a different breed to do it and continuously do it. Mm-hmm. But the rewards are pretty high, and the sacrifices are great. So,
and if you think, go ahead.
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I almost feel like the silver lining in this situation, especially right now, how the CDC is no groups of 10 people or more. Even at the race shop right now, for you as a smaller team, you guys are all going to be so used to each other that you'd said you'd laid some people off, but there's still some working, but they're all used to wearing multiple hats. So they're going to be able to get more things done. Whereas if you think about it, the disadvantage in this is a large team. They're so used to having specific people for specific jobs that 10 people isn't going to do much there. Whereas 10 people in a small shop, you can actually get shit done that way.
Oh, yeah, you get a lot done that way. And the guys that work here and guys that worked here and went on to bigger teams, they've worked on every part of the race car, and they understand it and know how to work on it. I mean, we don't build our engines, but we install them and all that, and we don't build a chassis or do the body hanging. We do some body repairs as far as replacing some parts. We run the composite bodies now, and they're both on, both off, but we have people that does that for us. But as far as learning the mechanical end of the car, setups, what you need to look for and what you got to do weekly, if you work at MHR, you've been through all that, and you know what to do. And really the bigger teams like getting people like that know the whole race car, and they just don't know how to put the right rear crush panel in. That's what they do 8 hours a day, on all the cars, just replace crush panels or pack wheel bearings, and that's it. And to me, that's not racing. You might as well be on assembly line somewhere.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned those composite bodies. We know that Xfinity has gone to them from the old steel bodies of old. We know that Cup may be going to those bodies here sooner rather than later. How much different has it been to work with the composite bodies? Because one thing that people have said that they seem to be a bit more durable than the bodies you guys had before.
Well, they are pretty durable, and they're easier for us to repair. The expense changing to them was great, but the expense to maintain them is not quite as bad. And the way it actually helps us, like if we're on the road and we don't have that many cars with us, and we take body pieces and replace or repair the cars that we got with us, and which you can't. That's a lot harder to do with a metal car. And it's got it's got its ups and downs. It's kind of put a lot of fabricators and body guys out of work. I hate for anybody to go out of work. Everything trickles down. It's just like what we're in now. Everybody thinks about the race teams, but you got engine guys, you got paint guys, you got parts guys, even down to Goodyear. You got every. It hurts all the way down, and people don't think about those guys. Just because they don't own a team or go to the track, they still earn their living out of racing. And if we don't race, there's no engines to refresh, and there's no bodies to repair, and it's that part, snowballs. But there's nothing we can do about it. But just like I said, heed the warnings and try to get this put to bed, and let's get back to normal life.
You guys have gone to the Chevys now. You were running those Dodge bodies for a long time, and we know how NASCAR fans they've been just so heartbroken by the loss of Dodge over the last few years since they've gone away. Did you get anybody that came up to you and just, kind of shook your hand and said, thank you for keeping Dodge out there on the racetrack, maybe hoping that, maybe the Dodge will come back eventually and we can get back to having 4 manufacturers out there?
Oh, it happened all the time. We on Facebook, Twitter, whatever, even in person. I mean, there's a lot of Mopar fans out there, and that Challenger is a good-looking car. I mean, it looks really good, really mean. I thought when Penske was running them full time, I thought it was one of the meanest-looking cars out there, and it ran well. And we ran them. We ran them, but they won't let us run them anymore. So they don't make it. What ended it, they don't make a composite body for the Dodge. So when we had to go to the composite body, that was it for the Dodges. But I still got like 4 of them over in the corner, and a couple of engines left. And actually, they're for sale if anybody's listening. You could race them next weekend, actually. But I gotta admit, I've always been a Chevrolet guy, and I just got hooked up with Penske, and that's what got me on the Dodge program. It was more feasible, and we could run better with them, and they're more available, and the guys in the engine shop were really good to me, and that's what got me running the Dodges, and it helped them out, helped me out, and some other teams got onto it, which carried Dodge a little further, but I think we ran them longer than anybody, and I was out really, but about halfway through, I was a Dodge fan. As far as race cars, I like them. They did really well, really durable, and run pretty good till technology caught up with us, and kind of struggled the last couple of years. And that's one reason we've been better with the Chevrolets and more up to date. But no, Dodge is Mopar. That's a good car.
Dodge has always had some of the best looking race cars over the past few years in NHRA, and definitely the Cup cars. I think the one thing everybody says we go back to the year before the Gen 6 and the Charger Gen 6 body came out, and everybody just says, I wish we could have seen that car run, because it was a beautiful car. Then Dodge unfortunately pulled the plug, and the rest is history.
That's right. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, and I totally agree with it, because they do have some good looking cars. I mean, they look racy, mean, look like they're 200 mile an hour sitting still, some of them. But,
I feel like they look like they're gonna bite you.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's true. But you know,
and that's
nothing ever stays the same, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, we had to move on, and you did get updated with the Camaros. You know, how long was it to get acclimated to the new cars? Because it seems like your team got a hold of those, and you guys have been going a whole lot faster ever since. Yeah,
well, the cars are basically the same. The chassis is the same. It's the sheet belt's a little different. Of course, the aero package is a little better, more up to date. And the R7 motors are better than the R5 Dodge motors we were running. And, just that was a difference right there. Just the engines and aero package. But the chassis themselves is about the same.
Okay. So. And Mike, when you go over to the Mike Harmon Racing website, we see you guys do a lot of work with veterans and active duty members of the United States military. We know you've been sponsored by veteran-run companies in the past few races. What are some of the things you guys have planned this year to do with the military, and how has the active duty and veteran military members reacted to seeing a team so helpful of helping to get the name of veteran companies out there in the public eye?
Yeah. Well, it's been really big, even just for the individuals. I mean, some of the veterans that, came back 100% in some aspect. We give them a focus, keep in contact with us and know what was going on. It gave them something to look forward to, and and we're so proud of what they do for us and let us do what we do. And how can we thank them enough? And then have the guys come to the track that's active, and then we kind of keep up with them, where they at, what they're doing, well, as much as we can, and just stay in touch one way or another. And it's good for them as well. I mean, they've given me all kind of flags and signatures, and they've given me a whole lot more than I've given them. And we at MHR, we appreciate everything they do for us in the country. And I'm just, in my mind, I just think there's so many people out there, younger people especially, who don't realize what the military actually does for us. They take it for granted, and we're trying to bring that to their attention. And we like the Richmond race. It's 9/11. We're gonna run a tribute car to fallen Navy SEAL Danny Dietz, and there we did it one time before in Texas, and we're gonna have a second tribute car too in Richmond, but I can't really talk much more about it yet. But you just can't give back enough to people and we're kind of getting a taste of it right now. We're not really free right now, so this is a small taste of what it could be if it wasn't for our military.
And the good thing about this as well is that this will only be temporary, because this will pass, and there are members of our military that are out right now helping those affected by the coronavirus. I know the USS Comfort and USS Mercy, the two hospital ships, are out on their way to New York and Washington respectively. We've got the National Guard helping out in New York City, helping to distribute food. So there's a lot that the military is doing right now to help those at home in a time of need. That, Mike, that kind of gets lost when you see the news of soldiers, overseas in battles. A lot of people forget that when there are natural disasters and there are state of emergencies, the military and the National Guards are some of the units that are helping us here at home.
And it's really big. And since we've been involved, I mean, there's so much that they do that nobody ever even knows, that, you just take it for granted. I mean, that you don't, civilians don't think about it. What they got to do to keep order like it is, in our country today. It's just way bigger than people imagine. Way bigger than more to it than what I thought. Mm-hmm. But you just can't appreciate them enough, and they risk it all, all the time. And how do you? You got to respect that, and you got to appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. And I will say thank you as someone that had military members in my family. I know my grandfather served, and I had an aunt that served. So thank you for everything that you've done for our veterans and the active service military members. Mike, I have to ask you. It's our pleasure. Thank you, and I have to ask you a question that.
Okay.
Ever since we announced this interview, that I've been dying to ask. 2001 Bristol. I don't remember if this was a Friday or Saturday practice, but when you hit, I remember getting home. It had to have been a Friday because I remember getting home from school, turning on the TV and seeing this. You hit that crossover gate a ton, and it opens that car up like a can opener, and the 2 comes through and hits it, and you just climb out of the car like it's nothing. How did that car get opened up like that? And I want to ask this the second. Well, the first, we'll go with the first part, then go to the second part. The first part, how did that car get opened up like that when you hit the gate?
Well, the gate wasn't secured properly, and that their maintenance building was like off turn 1 and 2, mm-hmm. and the guys that was the first race of the season for Bristol. And they just didn't secure the gate properly. There's supposed to be some pins in behind the gate that went like 4 feet in the ground, mm-hmm. and they were like 4x4s, and they just didn't get put in the ground, at all. They were standing in the corner. It was just an oversight, mm-hmm. On the track's part, and they admitted that, which we're all human. But the wall was like concrete. It's like 8 inches thick, and when I was trying to get the car around. Anytime you have a flat tire, you try to get the car to hit as flat as you can, so it won't, do as small damage as you can. Because if you hit with the right front corner, it diamonds the car and it's done. Mm-hmm. But as a driver, you try to save it and hit it with, and that's what I was trying to do, not knowing that the gate was even there, much less secured. Because we come in down at 3. That's how you come in into the racetrack. Mm-hmm. But the gate swung open, and that end of that concrete wall became a grinding wheel, basically, and it just sawed the car in half right down beside the tunnel, right down beside the seat. And I saw the wall right really close to me, and a racer, we depend on the roll cage to mm-hmm. save us, and we think we're invincible. We know we're not, but we think we're invincible when we're inside it. And I was thinking myself, man, this cage is getting there for that wall to be that close to me, not realizing that it was in the cage,
Oh my goodness!
So I'm not like that. Let's go with steering wheel. So I took my right arm and swung across my chest and grabbed my shoulder because it was that close to my arm. And then I got the roof and all fell down, blocked my vision. And then Johnny come around, which I'm glad it was Johnny Sauter. He's a good driver. He didn't panic. He didn't slam on the brakes and slide right into me. He drove through it and missed me about just a few inches. And I couldn't see all that. And thank God I couldn't see all that because the roof had fallen down and my vision blocked. Mm-hmm. But it spun it around and knocked the roof. It actually went behind me then. And I saw an opening and I was ready to get out. I didn't realize how bad it was. I was mad because my brand new car had just got destroyed. I knew that, and I was really mad. Mm-hmm. And I was going to the, I don't know if mad's the correct word, but disappointed, or, I don't know. You drive a brand new car off the dealership and lose it in a block. See, that's so.
Mad seems like a nice word. I think I'd be passing up a storm.
Yeah.
The air gets 3 degrees hotter for all the things.
I think mad is.
And so they took me to the infield care center, and I looked over my shoulder as I was walking home, and I saw the gate had a big bow in it where it bowed it out. I said, dang, the wall give up, And they carried me in field care center. I was okay. I told them I was okay. Michael Walter, he was in there because, he went through basically the same deal. And he said, Mike, you can't be okay, man. I said, well, I am. And they said, well, you're going to have to go downtown to the big hospital before you drive again. I said, oh, man. So I had to, at that point, it's out of my hand. Mm-hmm. So we went downtown, and they examined me, and, so I was okay. Started to leave, and it came on the internet, and the receptionist said, hey, have y'all seen this on the internet? No. When I saw it, I was like, holy crap. Then that's when I got scared. I was mad to that point. Uh-huh. So, but I came and had a different attitude coming back, and I'm thankful, good Lord saved me, there's no doubt about it, because there wasn't much safety equipment left. It just wasn't my day, It was my day, but it wasn't my day.
Yeah, and I think the funny thing about that story is that you're mad the whole time until you get to the hospital and realize, oh, that's what happened.
Yeah. I could not be here,
Yeah.
And so it got better from there. Yeah, but I got back to the racetrack, and guys was looking at me like I wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Some of them wanted me to go to Vegas with them. Some of them were scared of me. Some of them was hugging me. Just a ton of different emotions. My friend Jimmy Means, he said, Mike, I was standing within 10 feet of where I was standing when Michael Walter hit it. That's when you hit it. Mm-hmm. And he said, I thought both of you were done.
Yep.
So we're just blessed. We talk about it. Every day we got here now is a bonus, basically. People's lost their life in a lot. Accident wasn't near as bad, but hey, it was crazy, and we lived through it. And 3 hours later, I was in another car, and rest is history, I guess they say.
Well, I do think that too shows just almost like the strength that, drivers like you are, especially back then. And I think that almost shows the difference a little bit between drivers today, new drivers, and drivers from back in the day when you kind of came through. And there is a different grit to it. I don't think we would see many drivers go through anything near half as bad as that and end up in a car that same day. And I just think, to me, that's the most mind-blowing part, is just that you guys really were made of a different material from that generation compared to the rookies nowadays. And I think that shows a lot right there of why somebody like you can be around and be so, your mindset's like, been there, done that, seen it, been through it, let's do it again, because you've done that and you've turned around and did it again and you got right back into something. And that is honestly is just like, I always kind of think of the movies of my dad watching. The whole True Grit thing really is something that comes to mind with that kind of a situation for you as a driver.
Yeah. And I agree with that. Like Neil Bonnet, he was one of my heroes, and of course Dale was. I knew Neil personally. I didn't know Dale personally. They would race you in a backcountry road, didn't care if nobody was watching. They want to be the best. It wasn't about the money. It's just about the race, and you couldn't keep them out of a car, and that's what you got to do to be a true racer. And people ask me, how do you get back? How do you get back in the car? Well, my answer was not being cocky or anything. I said, I knew this could happen. Maybe not like this 20 years ago when I started racing. It's not nothing new. It's just part of the sport. And it's really more part of it then, because the cars weren't near as safe as they are today. And I think if they wasn't so safe today, you wouldn't see some of these crazy too brave moves that you see on the racetrack now. Mm-hmm. If you say, well, this might hurt a little bit if I do this, that might make it a little better, more calculated racing than what we see, this bonsai racing that goes on.
Especially
down.
on the
And,
plate tracks where we've seen a lot of guys make,
Yeah.
and we'll be nice here and say optimistic moves that end up wiping out like half the field.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of pushing each other on the restart and all that. You know, it shouldn't be that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not. You know, we didn't grow up racing that way. Racing's never been that way, and that part I don't like, and that creates a ton of the crashes. It's who's got the best car, the smartest driver, and who can outthink the other guy, not who can push who.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, look, we've been so lucky, man. I mean, Ryan was really lucky. He was lucky as me. You know, he asked me one time after, he said, man, how does it feel to get a car cut in half? And, you know, when I see him, I'm going to ask him, how does that feel? You know, because I know he got hit right into one of the most humble places on a race car.
Mm-hmm.
And he's lucky to survive.
And he's been through a few, too.
Yeah, Ryan has been
on a whole new meaning for that guy. Come on now.
Yeah, Ryan has been upside down more times than he can count at this point.
And on fire.
Well,
okay, Ryan.
well, this is what a lot of the public don't know is, you remember when Ryan flipped on the back straightaway at Talladega? I think he was sitting on top of Kevin Harvey, and he was upside down, trapped in the car for a while. Well, after that crash, we always had one halo bar in front of the driver, like where the rear view mirror hangs off of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after that accident, they added a second bar down like 4 inches below, or 4 to 6 inches below that main halo bar, because of Ryan's crash. And I'm pretty sure that's the bar that saved his life at Daytona the other day. The one that they added because of his original crash at Talladega.
And I believe I think we may have talked about that the week after, Caitlin, about the Newman bar, that he came up with that, and then 10 years later, it probably saved his life. Because I know I was sitting there in the office for about 2 hours trying to figure out, okay, am I writing that he's taken to the hospital, or do I need to get started on an obituary? Because it did not look good there, and I just thank the Lord above that Ryan is still with us, and he'll be back racing soon. He's got a couple of weeks now to really rest up while the sport's on a pause as well.
Right. Oh, yeah. It was, really, really glad he's there. We don't want to see nobody lose their life. You know, I mean, my dad taught me that, Mike, we're all willing. If you're willing to be out there, and everybody else out there is willing, but, you know, we don't want to see it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And Mike, we saw you run at Daytona. Do you have any more plans to run some more races this year?
Well, we're going to run at Talladega for sure, and I'll run some more later on. Right now, I'm interested. I just want to get the team. It's so much to do to run two teams, even run one team, that people don't know about, and you got crew, tires, and you can't afford to hire those people, so that means you got to take care of it yourself. And I don't want to take away from the team, you know, being selfish driving. You know, I do want to drive. I miss it, and I love doing it. Joe's helped us out a bunch. He's brought a lot to the team. A lot of experience, you know, as far as knowing how to work on the cars, knowing how to take care of them, and we gaining a lot from him. And I just, it's more important to get the team on more solid ground. And then I've been racing for years. I don't have to race every week. I've got certain tracks I enjoy a lot more than others, and that's when I'll run. You know, but I got to wear my business hat for my race helmet. But I'm not letting them put me out at Talladega and Daytona. They got to stand in line for that. So.
Yeah, I mean, you might be the business owner, but you still do have top priority when you get, you know, those picks. So I would definitely hold it down too.
Yep.
That's right.
You got to remember what that helmet feels like.
Oh yeah, I'm not about it. I'll probably, as long as I'm healthy, I'll never say I'm quitting or done retiring. Because there's a race, I'll be there. Whatever it is. So, but
and also, then you always have a backup. So even if you're at the track if something happens,
Right.
one of your drivers ends up, his tummy starts hurting and he can't get in the car,
Yeah.
well, you're going to be there and it won't be a problem,
That's right. And we actually had that happen last year, but you never know. I mean, I'm geared up, ready to go. So I've been there, done that too.
So, Mike, I know you got a lot of sponsors that help get you on the track. So I'm going to open up the floor to you here and just thank the sponsors and everybody that's helping you get to the track on a weekly basis.
Well, we do. Charlie Daniels been involved with us, his foundation, and which is big. He's a big military guy, and and we support that all we can. The V4CR that was look out after the kids, try to keep them from being kidnapped and all that stuff. Try to help them much as we can, and it's hard to name them all. I didn't make a list before I got on. I should have, but they're not they got a focus that they're trying. Most of our sponsors wanted their program to what's best for it. If they're charities or whatever it might be, and that's what we're about too. And sometimes we do all we can to help get it out there in front of the fans.
And if you want to help out Mike Harmon Racing and help get them to the racetrack, head over to MikeHarmonRacing74.com. There's a tab for sponsorship right there on the top of the page. There's a nice, beautifully put together 12-page document that you can read through about sponsorship opportunities with the team. So please head on over there if you can and are able to help out Mike Harmon. Make sure he gets to the track every weekend. Well, Mike, I got to say, this has been a wonderful conversation with you. I want to thank you so much for coming on, and we can't wait to get back to racing, see you back on the track. I know I'm planning to work at Pocono in June, so hopefully we can meet in person, but we will be back racing soon, and we cannot wait to see you guys back on the track.
Yes, I'm here. I appreciate you having us. Looking forward to meeting you, and let's do what we're asked to do and get so we can get back to the racetrack with everybody.
That's right. We've got to be healthy. Speaking of which, before we go, Mike, I need to know, do you have enough toilet paper?
You must have saw our tweet. I said we got toilet paper, so we're working at MHR.
See, that's all that matters.
That's a good thing.
If we run out, we got some greasy shop towels. All right. That's right. Racers always got a backup plan.
That's right, Mike Harmon. You got the best of them. It sounds like.
That is new meaning to the term. Get the backup out, Mike. Thank you so much for that.
All right. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. Enjoy your evening.
Yeah, you too, man. Thanks.
Yep. So that was Mike Harmon. Caitlin, that was a lot of fun getting to speak with him and just getting to pick his brain for about 45 minutes there about racing and the team and everything he said about COVID-19. And I think the main thing about that part is just to say, listen to the CDC and we can get back going so that we can, get back to normal. We can all laugh about this later. How about all of y'all stole the toilet paper?
Absolutely. And, honestly, I appreciated hearing from a driver, too, how much they are understanding of this situation and how, he really is like, no, let's buckle down. Let's do what we need to do and be done with it. And I think I feel like that is something that a lot of, fans and just people in general do need to hear that, yes, this sucks, but we can either have it suck for a short amount of time and then get back to our lives and enjoy things like racing. Or, if you don't want to listen, it's going to take longer because it's, you're not following the rules or the CDC. And,
right.
And I appreciated that. I appreciated hearing from Mike that, that's his sentiment. He didn't, it's not oh no, it sucks. It's no, this is bigger than racing. Mm-hmm. We need to get through this. And that's 100% what I think, a lot of people need to hear, especially it's different, I think, coming from somebody like us compared to the driver and the team owner directly.
Yeah. And I think another
if they're
thing,
okay to buckle down for a hot second so we can get back to racing, then by golly, you guys can too.
yeah, and getting to
Stop
hear,
hogging the toilet paper.
please stop hogging the toilet paper, y'all. But I think it was good to hear about the story from Bristol 2001 because you hear it from him. He really wasn't thinking about himself until he got to the hospital. He was just, man, he took a brand new race car and it just got split in half the first time you drive it. And then he gets to the hospital, is about to leave, and then someone shows him what happened. It's like, oh, well, there's a lot worse things that are going to happen to me than losing a brand new race car. So,
right. No kidding. That's funny that that's the first time he saw it, though, too.
yeah.
Ooh.
That was a lot of fun. And we got some more guests coming up. We want to thank Couch Crew Chief for playing producer here for us and getting a lot of these things set up for the show, that we have some things to keep you guys entertained while we are waiting for the racing to come back. And it is going to come back. We just have to be patient. We have to follow what everyone is, just telling us to do. It sucks. I want to be going to Hagerstown this weekend, getting ready for that season, but that season's not going to start on time, obviously. But we just got to do it, and it's going to be hard for me personally, trying to do classes online and trying to get all that done. I know we were supposed to go out and cover games. That is no longer a thing that is happening, and we just gotta wait, y'all. There's not anything else I can say. I'm not gonna stretch it out any longer. We just gotta wait till the cases go down, and then we'll be back racing. But Caitlin, before we go, there is some racing going on in FS1 on Sunday. We're actually gonna have iRacing. We're basically an IROC of sorts between Truck, Xfinity, and Cup drivers. About 35 drivers will be in this race. Are you excited to see this thing on Sunday? And how big is this for iRacing and sim racing in general, that they're getting this opportunity to be on the big stage, because it's really the only racing we got right now?
So here's the thing. I don't sugarcoat anything, so I'm not going to sugarcoat this either.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is a great opportunity in the form of esports to have racing come in this type of way. Mm-hmm. Because esports is a thing. Esports in the form of racing has not been as much of a thing. If there is not some ridiculous things and people spinning out, because all I can think of is like Caitlin, whenever I don't video game ever. Mm-hmm. So I think it's not as appealing to somebody like me. I feel like gamers everywhere are going to be like, okay, I'm into this. And I think it's going to have a lot more attention. Like, I feel like for me, if somebody doesn't end up screwing up and end up in the infield on accident, because I know when I try to do any kind of video game, anything, simulator, anything, my ass ends up backwards or sideways or where she shouldn't be with a cactus in her passenger seat for some odd reason. Like, I'm going to be pissed. Like, I just need something like that to happen. Like, I'm the person who, the first time she played Halo, for about a solid 45 minutes, could not do anything with my person other than do a ballerina spin. I did not know what I was doing. I didn't know which way was up. I was like, and I get that a lot of these, because it's a lot of kids racing. Like, I've looked at some of the sheet of like the people that are actually going to be racing, and it's a lot of the kids. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have chest hair, I'm allowed to call you a kid. And I feel like most of them don't. And they're also all younger than me. So I feel like they all are very experienced in this, and I feel like it's probably going to be actually a very tight race. But part of me is just kind of like, okay, are they going to be making vroom vroom noises with their mouths? Like,
I cannot.
I'm not the ideal public for this.
I
will give it a shot, but I am not the ideal public for this. This might be a Lita tweets NASCAR moment for Caitlin. To be honest,
I ran iRacing way back in the day, like 2009 to about 2011, when it was like before it became, the behemoth that it is now. We used to joke about.
So you are the ideal candidate for this thing.
Yeah, we used to joke about it getting this big. We never thought it was actually going to get here. And now that I look at it, I'm like, Well, if I could jump in a time machine and go back 10 years and tell everybody on the team speak, hey, there's going to be a situation where the sport is shut down and 35 of the real world racers are going to race an iRace on FS1 with Mike Joy, Jeff Gordon, and Larry McReynolds commentating, I probably would have told you were high, but, I mean, now it's happening, and this is going to be a lot fun to see. But before we get ready to wrap up here, we do have a list of sponsors that have helped Mike Harmon Racing get to the Speedway, and we want to thank them now. Charlie Daniels, the Journey Home Project, Veterans for Child Rescue, Wooby's Shoes, which is a Green Beret-owned company, Finlay Cadillac, Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorney, Save 22 and End 22, Team Room Design LLC, Conquer, Dick Liberty Media, Team Dietz, Danny Dietz Memorial Fund, and Klein's Classic Cars. We want to thank all of them for helping to get Mike Harmon Racing onto the Speedway every single week. And I can't wait, and I would say I can't wait till this week to see how the team does, but unfortunately there's no racing this week. That is, well, real
That's all
racing
right.
this week.
They have enough toilet paper at the shop. They'll be buckling down in groups of under 10.
And they have a backup plan. That's the most important part.
And they have a backup plan, so they'll be ready. It'll be fun to see once they get back on the track for sure.
Yep. So we're going to get ready to say goodnight for this episode of The Extra Mile. Next week, Starcom Racing's Quinn Huff is going to be on the program, and we're going to talk to him about his season so far. If you want to listen to Caitlin's show, check out Not What It Seems right before this one here on IE Sports Radio. That show starts, Caitlin, is at 5 or 5:30? Because I always mess it up.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock on the dot.
And I'd say the nice thing is that usually, it's something for everybody to listen during rush hour traffic, which doesn't exist anymore.
No,
congratulations to the atmosphere for getting a breather for once. So while you're sitting at home in your self-quarantine, just pop me up on your phone. We'll be good to go.
And before I continue, I got to work yesterday, I think in about 10 minutes. It usually takes me double that. So you can really tell when everyone has to stay home. So
absolutely. Did you hear what I think one of the cool things is I feel like, the silver lining, the good moments in all of this craziness is that there's reports coming out of Italy and Venice that the water is so clear now that you can see fish, and they just got reports back that were just coming out today, but there are dolphins on the shore in Italy that they have not seen in ages because of all of the people and the tourists and the water pollution. And it's all gone down so much since quarantine's begun over there that they're actually getting wildlife that they haven't seen in a very long time. So this sucks. We just got to get through it. But as we can see, there is already some, good things that can come out of this. But we just got to buckle down. Let's make let's make it a two week little quarantine, be done with it, and let's go. Let's not drag this out any longer than it has to be.
Yep. And
be
remember,
smart. Wash your hands.
Yes,
Don't
please.
cough on people.
And stop stealing the toilet paper.
And stop stealing all the damn toilet paper.
All right. You can see my writings. Well,
as my dad says, the white gold. That's what he's calling it now. The white gold.
Yep. So, Not What It Seems airs at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific time. Taryn, thank you so much. I'm going to get that name right. I swear. I'm sorry. I swear eventually I'm going to get that name. I'm going to get your name right. I'm sorry. You can check out my writings once we get sports back going on WBGR Sports or on WBGRnetwork.com. Remember, check out IESportsRadio.com as well. There's some big things coming up with IE Sports Radio as well. We got guests, new shows, possibly an app. Maybe. You have to stay tuned and find out what's going on with all of that. But
next, we're going to have a makeup line.
Caitlin can model that. I look terrible in makeup.
It's just because we haven't found your right shade yet, Darryl.
Probably. And remember, if you missed any show, you can check us out on the Spreaker Show Reel, iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and other places where podcasts can be heard. And remember, follow our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And this show, The Extra Mile, now has a Twitter at The Extra Mile IE1. That's The Extra Mile IE1. That's going to get shortened because that is way too long for a lot of people to remember. And you want to keep these things short.
I thought it was spam, not going to lie. It freaked me out at first.
Yeah, so
I was like, oh no, somebody just made something up with my name in it.
So yeah, give that a follow. We're going to be tweeting out updates to the program with guests, and we're going to be retweeting this episode as well for everyone to listen to. And with that being said, right, our Twitters before we go. Caitlin's at Caitlin Seam or at Seam Radio. I'm at DK Junior 12, and of course IE Sports Radio, or of course, the Extra Mile IE Sports Twitter as well. So with that being said, racing will be back soon, y'all. Please don't panic, and for the fourth time, stop stealing the toilet paper. That's Caitlin. I'm Darryl. This has been the Extra Mile, and we will see you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.